we have to be very clear in condemning the attack that happened on January 3rd. The images were very shocking for most Venezuelans, regardless of what most Venezuelans think about the regime. The fact that Caracas was bombed.
I'm here in Minneapolis at the intersection where ICE agents shot a woman earlier this morning. And I won't say I'm not scared, because I am. How do you not feel fear at the fact that we live in a police state where we could just be shot in the face for exercising our First Amendment rights?
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. We start with a view of the weekly protest opposite Yale New Haven Hospital in New Haven, Connecticut, where activists try to alert doctors and medical workers to the terrible plight of Palestinians. This week, there were new banners calling for Dr. Abu Safiya's release.
Free the Palestinian doctors who are being starved and tortured without charge in Israeli prisons.
I agree. Free the Palestinian physicians, all the Palestinian healthcare workers, all of the Palestinians who are being held in Israeli prisons, who are being tortured, who have had no charges filed against them, who have had no trials, who do not see attorneys, but are suffering because they are defending their land. Their land is as important to them as their blood, and they deserve to live. They deserve to be free.
War with Iran is imminent, unfortunately. We must do all we can to stop it.
Congress, do your job. You're AWOL. This is coming from a 24-year military veteran, retired. Do your job. Or step up or step down.
The last few administrations have led us to destroy the Constitution and international law. My three uncles fought against fascism in World War II. My father-in-law was wounded in the Philippines fighting fascism. One uncle delivered supplies up the Persian Gulf to the Russians fighting fascism in Europe. So I'm here to support them and fight against fascism in the United States and throughout the world.
I got one more thing to say. My family members, my wife's family members, all served in World War II. They have to be, as well as all the other veterans who fought fascism in World War II, they have to be turning in their grave to see the way the United States has gravitated to the ultra-right and becoming such an imperialist, fascist type of power. This is what a slap in the face to all those who risked their lives and everything to rid the world of fascist dictatorship. What a shame.
It is long past time to end the genocide, end the ethnic cleansing, end apartheid. And we have to, while we're at it, end U.S. imperialism and militarism around the world.
Very good.
Our kids and grandkids.
Yes. Yes, end imperialism. End the hubris that American government thinks that they can do and get away with anything they want for profit, for exploitation of all the natural resources of the world, just to line their pockets with profit. It's enough.
Oh, I forgot there's oil in Nigeria.
Save the Christians.
Yeah, right. I was.
Would you like to say something?
I would say that we will stay here till Palestine is free.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially as a Jew, an American Jew.
Oh, yeah.
And you all come out every Tuesday at noon, I understand?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Okay. Yep, every Tuesday.
Very good.
No, can't do it next week. Mark Colville has his hearing and we may have people.
There are about 70 prominent or well-known signers of an open letter calling for Dr. Abu Safiya's release, including current and former Connecticut legislators, climate activist Bill McKibben, artists, and Ira Helfand of the anti-nuclear movement. See it at freedrAbuSafiya.org/signers. This photo is of ruins at Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza, showing a large banner with images of senior doctors and deans of its medical school who were executed by Israel. Now to the greatest theft in recent history, the U.S. government attack on Venezuela, with the open purpose of stealing its oil. This is from an interview I did this week with a Venezuelan journalist. It's January 5th, 2026. I'll be speaking to Simon Rodriguez, a Venezuelan socialist and journalist who edits VenezuelanVoices.org. He's presently in the Dominican Republic. We're speaking just a couple of days after the U.S. aggression against Venezuela and the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, and the killing of scores of Venezuelans and Cubans. Good evening.
Thank you for having me.
So what do you hear about what's happening in the streets of the Venezuelan cities? Have crowds turned out to support the Chavista government? Are supporters of the far right taking over? Are things quiet? What's the situation as far as you know?
The reports one can have, and also speaking from people inside Venezuela, is that basically the streets are very quiet. There's very little activity. In fact, the third most commerce activity was paralyzed. There have been a couple of demonstrations, mainly in Caracas, and basically from very hardcore activists and members of the government. So this is in stark contrast to what happened 23 years ago when Chavez was subjected to a coup and kidnapped by the coup plotters, when there was a massive response to that. But in this case, in fact, there have been neither celebrations nor important protests, just these government-led marches. And even in the official discourse, the Minister of Defense has, in fact, called people to be to go back to work, to go back to normal activities, to be calm. So this call to calm is very different from a call for mobilization or for any sort of resistance. So that's mainly what has been happening, and of course increased police and military presence in the streets.
What about the ultra-right? Is there signs that they're going to try to take over?
No, there is no indication of any far-right activity. One has to be clear. In fact, far-right as such, paramilitary or armed groups, this is almost non-existent. So calls for public manifestations also have not occurred. So it's mostly a tense calm what we are seeing in the country. We have to be very clear in condemning the attack that happened on January 3rd. The images were very shocking for most Venezuelans, regardless of what most Venezuelans think about the regime. The fact that Caracas was bombed, other cities were also bombed, civilian infrastructure such as the port of La Guaira, which serves the city of Caracas, is about 45 minutes drive away from Caracas. Also, the electrical grid was bombed, taking out power from the capital. These images were really shocking. The death toll, up to what we know, is around 80 people, but the government has not issued a detailed list of injured or dead people. So the number could be actually higher. Just to give an idea of the brutal and imperialist nature of this attack, which has nothing to do with restoring democracy or democratic rights of the Venezuelan people, Trump was very recently asked if he would put pressure on Delcy Rodriguez to release political prisoners. We have to remember that some of these political prisoners are from left or center-left political affiliations, union leaders, and so on. For example, the presidential candidate that was endorsed by the Communist Party in the 2024 elections, who has been for 10 months illegally detained. And the answer Trump gave was, well, no, we are concerned with the oil now. After the situation is controlled and we get what we want, we'll speak about other things. Really, the rights of Venezuelans are nowhere in the radar of Trump's concerns or interests. And this, of course, can be illustrated very easily by seeing the treatment he is giving Venezuelan migrants in the US, where Venezuelan migrants are being massively targeted, deported, stigmatized. Trump has said that Venezuelan migrants have been sent by the Maduro regime, taken from jails and asylums, mental asylums, and sent to the US as a sort of weaponized migration. And this is something that has been backed by Maria Corina Machado. She has legitimized this argument, therefore legitimizing the persecution of Venezuelan migrants. So the human rights of Venezuelans don't matter to this far-right government, either in the US or in Venezuela itself.
So what was Maduro's strategy for warding off a U.S. attack? I mean, from here, it looks like his only idea was to offer more and more concessions to Trump. Did he try to unify the country and put it on a war footing, unite the entire left, or what was his strategy other than to offer concessions?
There was no attempt to expand the social base of the government. For example, there are dozens, hundreds of political prisoners, many of which oppose US intervention in Venezuela. Something that many leftist organizations said, well, release all of the political prisoners who are against a US invasion. This would be seen as a gesture towards the Venezuelan people. In fact, creating a broader social base to resist imperialist pressure and attack. But this was never done. In fact, the strategy in terms of internal policy is still very much repressive. And this is one of the reasons why the government has very, very little support and is very weak, in fact.
Is there even now an idea from the government to try to liberate the left prisoners? Do they even mention it now?
Well, this has not been mentioned. This idea has not been floated by anyone in the government. Regarding the strategy, there was a debate during the Chavez years with this retired general whose last name was Muller Rojas. He was debating the then Minister of Defense, Raúl Díaz Baduel, who then years later became a political prisoner, ironically. But Baduel represented the official stance of the military doctrine of the Venezuelan government, which was to increase conventional spending in a conventional strategy of arming the country, having a big budget, a lot of equipment like jets, fighter jets, tanks, and so on. And the idea that Müller Rojas put into this debate was that conventional warfare is useless against the external attack of an imperialist power, which is much, much more powerful. Defense should rely on a doctrine of military popular defense, taking knowledge from other experiences such as the warfare in Vietnam and so on, where it has been possible to resist and even to defeat imperialist aggression, not by having more and more tanks, more and more jets, because obviously you cannot compete at that level with the most powerful military entity in the world. But the government sided with Baduel, and this was the model that was developed. In later years, they incorporated this idea of the militias and so on, but it was always for internal repression and for internal control, never as a popular defense strategy such as the one that Müller Rojas said was necessary to develop. So this is part of the failure and the defeat of the Venezuelan government. The fact that because it had such a big rejection of the working class and the popular sectors, because of the austerity it had applied for years against the Venezuelan people, the corruption, the huge social inequalities, and the fact that it never really relied on the idea of arming the people, because it knew if it armed the people, then it would be the end of the government itself. These are all elements that fed onto this failure, and the morale of the military itself probably is not high. This is a military that is more accustomed to internal repression, fighting against people who cannot defend themselves, than fighting against a very powerful enemy. So all of these elements, I think, also fed into the situation the country now is in.
Watch the full interview from our YouTube channel, The Struggle Video News. By the way, we hear that the Chavista government without Maduro is freeing political prisoners. We suspect these will be almost all from the far right to please Trump. At protest rallies, we need to bring up the cause of imprisoned union leaders and socialists imprisoned by Maduro. The Facebook posts of Iranian exile Siyavash Shahabi are very well worth reading. This one, from January 9th, starts: Iran's Supreme National Security Council issued an official order branding Friday night as a day of God and openly giving the green light for an armed assault on demonstrations and protesters. At the same time, the internet is completely cut off across the country, an action that has severely disrupted access to news and information about what's happening in different cities, and has even made domestic Iranian websites inaccessible from outside Iran. At the same time, Tehran's prosecutor claimed that the enemy's mercenaries are killing people who take part in the gatherings, and said people should stay home. He stressed, don't join protests so you don't get killed by the mercenaries. They want to stage killings. So Iran's rulers have chosen the route of Syria's Assad, attempting to drown the nearly 2 weeks of protest in blood. Shahabi says protesters are chanting these slogans: death to the dictator, death to Khamenei, freedom, neither the Shah nor the Mullah. Political prisoners must be freed. 2 short videos from an activist from the sunrisemovement.org with news about the murder of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis.
I'm here in Minneapolis at the intersection where ICE agents shot a woman earlier this morning. And I won't say I'm not scared because I am. How do you not feel fear at the fact that we live in a police state where we could just be shot in the face for exercising our First Amendment rights? But I think they don't know what they're messing with. Like, it's already only been 1 hour, 2 hours, and there's 100, 200 people behind me demanding that they arrest the shooter who shot this woman. And 5.5 years ago, George Floyd was killed in this neighborhood just a few blocks from where I'm standing right now. And when that happened, our city knew how to respond. Our generation knew how to respond. Our country knew how to respond. 20 million of us took to the streets. And so if ICE thinks that they can, scare us into submission by killing us, that's not true. So yeah, I'm scared, but I also really believe in us to be brave. And I believe that we have more courage in our fingertips than the Trump administration could ever dream of. If you're seeing this and you're horrified, if you're looking for something meaningful and real to do, join the youth movement to stop fascism and win the futures we deserve. Join Sunrise today.
In this one, she talks about victories made by the movement, getting corporations to break ties with ICE.
I'm in South Minneapolis a day after Renee Good was murdered by ICE, and all I can think about in the freezing rain with thousands of people behind me is that this is how dictators get defeated. Today, Spotify announced that they were canceling letting ICE advertise on their platform. Yesterday, Avelo Airlines, the airline that was conducting deportations, officially said they were going to stop doing that. And 3 days ago, Hilton's in Minneapolis said they were going to stop housing ICE agents. This is how dictators get defeated, through consistent tactics, through sharp strategy, through non-cooperation. Our strategies are working right now. We are forcing institution after institution to realize that they are on the wrong side of history and that the majority of American people will force them to not comply. Trump and his illegal police have overstepped. This could be the turning point in his regime. So if you're feeling defeated right now, if you're not sure what to do, join an organized group, join the Sunrise Movement, get organized, because our strategies are working and what we need right now is scale.
MAGA big mouths Steve Bannon and Jack Probosik are demanding murder charges in the case of the killing of Renee Nicole Good. No, not of the ICE thug who killed her, but against the wife of Renee Good. They claimed that the wife had urged Good to come to Minneapolis. That's where they took a video of ICE. So they say she was therefore responsible for Good's death and should be put on trial for, quote, felony murder, unquote. I kid you not, this all comes from the news site Raw Story. Final point about the killing of Good. 28 years ago, Malik Jones was shot to death by an East Haven, Connecticut police officer after Jones tried to flee from the officer who later said he had been responding to a report of reckless driving. There was protest, but at the time, a lot of people just didn't believe a policeman would shoot someone unnecessarily. Now, more of the talk by Chris Smalls, a union organizer and an activist for Palestine.
Sometimes we have to sacrifice. And sometimes that sacrifice comes with a great price, whether you're putting your life on the line. So just how I put my life on the line to save 2.5 million Amazon workers from contracting COVID-19 as the Amazon whistleblower, when I was fired, I cost the company $4 billion. Right. So, understanding that I had to put my life on the line, my livelihood on the line, for the greater good, I don't regret it at all, not one bit. The same thing when it comes to getting on this flotilla. I knew the risk of being the only black man out of the 21 of us that was on the Hundella. I knew the risk before I got on the flotilla. But the flotilla initiative didn't start, once again, 2 years ago. And this initiative has started over 17 years ago. So understanding that there were ancestors, there were protesters, there were activists who paved the way, who lost their lives before me, I knew that I had to carry that same burden and also carry that torch and continue my advocacy, because I wanted to break down these stigmas as once again, being a black man, facing one of the most deadliest, merciless, ruthless armies, baby killing machines in the world. I knew that they were going to single me out. And, you know, I'm so fortunate enough, the crew that I was fortunate enough to travel along an open graveyard for 7 days, the Mediterranean Sea, knew the risk as well. We all knew that we were entering a dangerous war zone. We all knew that this could potentially be a threat to our lives, and we protected one another to the best of our abilities and capabilities. And I felt safe with my crew that was on board. That being said, it also gave me the confidence to, what I like to say, talk my New York-ish when I did meet the authorities, because for a few reasons. One is, I know so many Palestinians have lost their lives just for speaking up, just for being Palestinian. And I know so many of them wanted to join this mission and want to be on these flotillas, but it's so dangerous for them and their families that they can't.
That's our program for today. See you next time. I'm Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.